Truth has a way of surfacing when we least expect it. The universe keeps its ledgers meticulously, and now the pages are turning. Those strange coincidences that left you doubting yourself, the situations that seemed to collapse without explanation, the relationships that transformed without warning. There was an invisible hand at work. What was done in darkness will be illuminated. The karmic player thought their game could continue indefinitely, but cosmic justice operates on its own timeline, and that timeline has finally caught up. Not every light is divine. Some lights are artificial, crafted illusions meant to blind you just long enough for the damage to be done. Karmics are masters of disguise, cloaking themselves in roles that seem safe, holy, or familiar. They come, wrapped in empathy, speaking the language of healing, of understanding, of spiritual resonance. They mimic the frequency of someone you trust, a mentor, a partner, a kindred soul. But their presence leaves behind a residue. You don't feel nourished after speaking to them. You feel emptied. You're told you're being loved while simultaneously being drained. That's not care, that's consumption. Subtle flattery becomes their favorite weapon. They praise your intuition just before they question it. They admire your light while quietly competing with it. They offer support, but only when it keeps you in a position of emotional dependency. And the most dangerous part, they speak in the tones of your deepest spiritual language. They'll check in with you under the guise of concern, when really they're scanning your energy, making sure you haven't broken free. They offer advice that seems enlightened, but it keeps you circling back to them. It's not guidance, it's anchoring. These are not just manipulative people. These are souls that understand frequency, that study your emotional architecture, that know how to play savior just long enough to establish control. This is not affection, it's strategy. And when you try to pull away, they become even more helpful, more understanding, even more radiant. It's a performance. And you've been watching it in real time, mistaking it for divine timing. But that mask is slipping. You've met this karmic before, the one who always has the right words, the right tone, the perfect spiritual quote to validate your suffering, as long as you stay tethered to them. They pose as your mirror, your catalyst, your divine reflection. But you leave every interaction feeling fragmented. Your thoughts race, your energy drops, your inner compass shakes. That's not synchronicity, that's sabotage dressed in white robes. Not everyone who offers light comes without a price. Karmics charge your soul in silence, collecting fragments every time you doubt yourself on their behalf. And now you're starting to see the cost. The most dangerous traps are the ones you can't see. Karmics don't operate with obvious chains or loud commands. They build invisible architecture. Brick by unseen brick, they construct a structure designed to destabilize your center without ever appearing responsible. It starts small, a lingering glance that makes you question your tone, a delayed response that leaves you wondering if you've done something wrong, a suggestion masked as a question that twists your original thought just enough to shift your direction. You're not being loved, you're being rewired. Psychological erosion doesn't need screaming or cruelty. It thrives in subtle redirections. They create confusion not by lying outright, but by layering truth with distortion. One day, you're confident in your path. The next, you're questioning whether your dreams were ever really yours. You start editing your words. You second-guess your intuition. That's not self-reflection. It's spiritual corrosion. And all the while, the karmic stands beside you, playing the role of concerned guide, nodding, encouraging you to dig deeper into the pit they dug beneath your feet. What makes their manipulation so effective is how it mimics love. They weaponize what you share. They twist your openness into weakness. They repeat your dreams back to you like promises, then dangle them as bait. They mirror your language, your pain, your vision. That's not alignment, it's mimicry designed to control, and the closer you get to clarity, the more they tighten their hold through chaos, guilt, or sudden intimacy. It's not random, it's a blueprint. Trauma bonding becomes their scaffolding. Shared wounds are emphasized, common struggles are highlighted. They say, we're the same, when what they mean is, you're now emotionally entangled. You're not just relating, you're being locked into a pattern. And when you try to leave, that bond feels like betrayal. You question if you're being heartless, cold, ungrateful. That's the point. They weaponize the very empathy that made you open your door in the first place. They never wanted your love. They wanted your energy, your essence, your spark. And they built an entire playbook to extract it while calling it connection. But now you've stopped playing their game. Now you recognize the patterns. Now you can see the performance for what it is, an elaborate lie fueled by your light. And now you're no longer feeding it. They didn't just want you to fall, they wanted you to believe it was fate. Karmics wield language like a blade dipped in honey, soulmate, twin flame, divine timing. These phrases become chains when used by the wrong hands. What should feel expansive begins to feel suffocating. What should feel like alignment starts to taste like desperation. They don't offer love. They offer a fantasy dressed in sacred language, and they hook you with it. They present themselves as irreplaceable, the only one who truly gets you, the one you've been waiting for across lifetimes. They whisper of destinies intertwined, contracts written in stars, love stories foretold. But the moment you question their behavior, the moment you ask for space or clarity, the tone shifts. That divine connection becomes a debt you owe. Suddenly, you're the one failing the mission. You're the one not doing the work. That's not spirituality. That's spiritual blackmail. Scarcity is the illusion they manufacture with precision. They convince you that no one else will understand you the way they do. That walking away means walking away from your own path. That your healing is now dependent on their presence. It's a lie, but a convincing one, because they mirror your hopes before they strangle them. They mirror your dreams before they distort them. And soon you start believing that love must look like sacrifice and destiny must feel like pain. You aren't addicted to them. You're addicted to the illusion of purpose they sold you. You weren't drawn in because you were weak. You were pulled because you're wired for meaning, for depth, for soul truth. And they exploited that wiring. That's not divine timing, that's design. Real destiny doesn't bait, it aligns. Real love doesn't demand proof through suffering, it flows without war. True soul connections don't guilt, confuse, or leave you hollow. They amplify, clarify, and protect. And deep down, you knew it. That quiet whisper inside you, the one they tried to mute, never stopped speaking. And now, it's getting louder. They convinced you they were the treasure, but they were only ever the test. And the scarcity you felt, it wasn't real. It was their last defense against your awakening. Now I want to take a moment to tell you about a few individuals that shouldn't exist. A trained occultist who escaped from a satanic coven. A former Black Ops drone pilot who flew swarms with his mind. A multi-millionaire psychic CFO who predicted market shifts before they happened. What do these remarkable individuals have in common? You'll find them all in the Obsidian Inner Order, where they share their forbidden knowledge on our private Discord server. My chosen soul has drunk deep from the well of knowledge eon after eon. In this incarnation, these extraordinary individuals became my allies in the Obsidian Inner Order. They recognized the call. They stepped forward. They connected with others who understand their unique gifts and burdens. What is stopping you from manifesting the same? The synchronicities that brought them here weren't accidents. Neither is your discovery of this message. When souls of this caliber gather, the Archons take notice. They fear our collective power. They know what happens when the truly awakened find each other. Join our weekly calls. Hear their stories firsthand. Share your own journey with those who won't dismiss or doubt you. The knowledge exchanged in our private channels cannot be found anywhere else on this plane. Click the link in the description. Below now, the extraordinary souls await your arrival. The question isn't whether you belong among them. The question is, how much longer will you wait to claim your place? They didn't just manipulate your mind, they tampered with your energy. Karmics operate like viruses in your vibrational field, subtle, persistent, destabilizing. One moment, you're aligned, clear, grounded. Then they enter your space and suddenly you're anxious, indecisive, scattered. That's not coincidence, it's energetic interference. They don't need to touch you to affect you. Their presence alone is enough to distort your signal. Every interaction becomes a transaction. You leave drained, questioning yourself, making decisions that contradict your intuition. That's not forgetfulness, it's frequency hijacking. They mirror your energy to stay tethered, feeding off your alignment to mask their chaos. And when your light begins to return, so do they, calling, texting, checking in. It's not care, it's a retrieval mission. Quantum entanglement isn't just a theory, it's the way karmics embed themselves. They create a psychic echo, a frequency that lingers even when they're physically gone. You start hearing their voice in your thoughts, making choices through their lens, reacting to ghosts. It's not memory, it's resonance, a manipulation of your field that keeps you stuck in their orbit. The truth? You were never confused, you were under frequency assault. Their chaos became your static, their fear bled into your courage, their need cloaked itself in love. But clarity is returning. Their signal is weakening, and now you can feel the interference lifting. What was hijacked is being reclaimed. Your vibration is rising beyond their reach. And without your frequency to feed from, they will starve in the silence they once used to trap you. You're starting to remember what your reflection actually looks like. You're no longer editing your truth to fit their script. And as you pull your light back into your own hands, their power dims. Their voice becomes background noise because the truth never needed validation. It only needed space. And now you're reclaiming it. This didn't begin in this lifetime. Karmics often arrive wrapped in familiarity because the bond was forged long before your current memory. You feel drawn to them not by chance, but by ancient entanglement, soul ties formed through unresolved stories, unspoken vows, unfinished pain. These aren't just emotional connections, these are energetic contracts, binding you in patterns that repeat across timelines. That pull you felt? That wasn't love, that was a hook. They trigger wounds you didn't know you still carried. The bond feels deeper than logic, heavier than time. And when you try to leave, something invisible pulls you back. That isn't weakness, it's a contract whispering, not yet. Karmics operate through these unconscious agreements, using your unhealed timelines as leverage to keep you tethered. But awareness is the loophole. No ritual is required, no fire, no salt, no chant. The moment you see it, truly see it, the cord begins to dissolve. Because karmic ties feed on unconsciousness. They need you unaware, walking in circles, believing that pain equals purpose. But when the pattern becomes clear, when you name it, the contract begins to unravel. They didn't choose you by accident. They recognized the fracture in your field and walked in through it. But now you see them not as destiny, but as a detour. They were never your soulmate. They were your signal, the alarm that something deeper needed to be healed. This time, you're not repeating the cycle. This time, you're choosing yourself. The loop ends with you. And as you step out of the binding, everything that followed that karmic frequency begins to fade. The story is no longer repeating, it's resolving. You weren't targeted because you were weak. You were targeted because you were powerful, because your empathy, your loyalty, your instinct to heal made you vulnerable to those who knew exactly how to exploit it. Karmics seek the brightest lights to siphon from, and yours shone like a beacon. You saw their pain, their potential, their brokenness, and you believed your love could fix it. That wasn't foolish. It was your calling, misdirected. You thought helping them was part of your mission. You poured into their wounds, thinking healing them would somehow fulfill your own soul contract. But the truth is brutal. They were never meant to be saved by you. They were meant to show you where your boundaries were bleeding. Your desire to uplift them became the very reason you were dragged under. You bled trying to stop someone else's storm. You silenced your needs to meet their chaos. You forgave what should have never been excused, because you were convinced that love means enduring, sacrificing, holding on. But the lesson wasn't in how much you could take. It was in how quickly you could let go. That wasn't your soulmate. That was your soul's mirror, reflecting the parts of you still trying to earn your worth through suffering. They saw you as a well, deep, pure, endless. But even a well must be protected. Even a healer must choose who receives their medicine. And now you see it. You were never meant to fix them. You were meant to outgrow them, to rise beyond the frequency that kept calling pain love. That blind spot has now become your clarity. What once made you a target now makes you untouchable. You've stepped into the awareness that your light isn't theirs to use. It's yours to guard and to wield. They didn't raise their voice. They didn't throw things. They didn't storm out. No, this war was fought in silence, in pauses, in rewrites of reality that left you questioning your own mind. Psychological gaslighting isn't loud. It's surgical. It dismantles your identity not by force but by erosion, one distorted truth at a time. They denied things you knew happened. They rewrote conversations. They questioned your reactions, made you explain emotions they provoked. And each time, you bent just a little more. Not because you didn't know the truth, but because they made you doubt your right to hold it. This wasn't conflict, this was programming. You began to walk on eggshells, not because of fear, but because of confusion. You stopped trusting your instincts, your memory, your voice. You lost time trying to make sense of things that were designed to make you spiral. The fog that settled over your thoughts wasn't mental weakness. It was the residue of manipulation. Neurologically, long-term gaslighting rewires your brain. Your fight-or-flight system stays activated. Cortisol floods your body. Your sense of self becomes fragmented under the pressure of needing to be reasonable, even when you're being slowly erased. That wasn't overthinking, that was survival. They didn't want you to forget who you were. They wanted you to believe you never knew. But here's the truth. The moment you begin to name the fog, it begins to lift. The moment you say, that did happen, the spell cracks. They never broke you, they disoriented you. But your clarity is returning. Your mind, your memory, your intuition, they were never gone. They were buried beneath a narrative that served their control. And now that narrative is shattering under the weight of your truth. It always slips. No matter how perfect the performance, no matter how rehearsed the role, karmics cannot hold the mask forever. Eventually the cracks show. A lie told too casually, a reaction too sharp, a moment of silence too cold. You witness something that doesn't align with the persona they've crafted, and suddenly everything clicks. That moment, it's not confusion, it's revelation. The script breaks. They stumble. Their charm turns mechanical. Their warmth turns calculated. You start to see the glitches in their matrix. The rehearsed empathy, the conditional love, the strategic vulnerability. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your energy withdraws. Your eyes sharpen. You stop playing the role they wrote for you. And in that moment, they panic, not because they've lost your affection, but because they've lost control. You were their mirror, their supply, their mask's validation. Without your belief, they unravel. This isn't a breakup, this is a reckoning. The veil lifts, and what stood in front of you as destiny is revealed for what it always was. Manipulation dressed in meaning. Their mask didn't fall. You woke up. What they sent out is returning. The energy they manipulated, the trust they exploited, the light they tried to siphon, it's all circling back. Not because you sought revenge, but because universal law doesn't miss. Every intention carries weight, every action ripples. And now, those ripples are crashing down on the source. They tried to steal your light, thinking it would sustain them. But your light isn't theirs to take, it's divine, protected, encoded with purpose. And now, cut off from your energy, they face the mirror they always avoided. This isn't your burden to carry anymore. Their downfall isn't your responsibility. It's their karma, arriving with exact precision. You walked away with your soul intact. They remain behind, drowning in the shadows they cast.